Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jaron from Jeranism back with another live video for you today. It's Thursday, so it's time for another presentation, and today we have part 4 of Iru's presentation on the NASA Blue Beam project. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Let's welcome to the show from the land of the upside down, Iru Landucci. Iru, how are you, my friend? Welcome to the show.
Hello, Jeran. Hello, everyone. I'm still alive. I recovered my YouTube channel, so I'm very happy. I'm very happy to give the last part of the presentation. I hope it's the last part of the presentation.
Well, let's go until we're done today. So
no, of course,
we'll see.
Of course.
No, it should be part 4. Should be the final part. And yeah, like Iru just said, if people don't know Iru, I guess you can tell them a little bit about what happened. But yesterday, Iru woke up and his channel was gone. So we were all worried about that for a little while. But to our surprise, today he woke up and it's back. So you can kind of tell everybody what happened a little bit.
Yes, apparently YouTube is not so bad like we think. Sometimes, at least sometimes. But
right.
yeah, but the real thing was like yesterday in the afternoon. I just doing things in my home. I trying to enter into my YouTube channel, and it's my account was suspended, which is a different word than close.
Right.
The first time that they closed my YouTube channel was based on 4 strikes,
Right.
and they closed every product from Google, not just the YouTube, but also the email and the rest of the thing. So this time they put suspended, but I cannot, it's really hard to comprehend when YouTube said suspended or closed or whatever, because in the meantime, from the first time to these days, maybe the policy changed and maybe the word suspended is the same thing as closed.
Right.
So,
but your channel
really
was gone.
worried.
I mean, when we searched for it, there was no Nueva para Todos. The whole channel was just gone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the most, bad thing is that you cannot enter even to, download some videos or do something. No, it's even suspended for you as owner of the account.
Wow.
So that is, it's not nice feeling.
No.
And in fact, and I talk about so many times, part of my life economy is based on what I receive from YouTube and from Patreon.
Right.
So for me it was also like a pain in the ass, because I'm start thinking, immediately you start thinking especially in these quarantine days, you start thinking, well, what am I gonna do for survive? If I receive not so much, but here in Argentina $200 is really make difference, at least in my personal life. So I'm start thinking about that too. So I'm start getting worried. I appeal, the suspender of the channel. I entered, fill a form with my complain about the suspension of the channel.
Right.
And 24 hours later, they give me back the channel, and supposedly they accuse me for phishing.
Phishing,
Identity from, I don't know what exactly, video that I share, because they don't specify that. So apparently they get wrong, and they give me back the YouTube channel with all the videos, all the memberships, all the account, YouTube channel
back,
that
basically.
I am subscribed. Everything get back as was before.
Good.
And that is the only thing that really matters for me.
Right. Yeah, no, it's great that you're back, happy about that. And yeah, so today we'll be doing part 4, and tomorrow hopefully you join the lounge. We'll get into a lot more of the corona stuff. Of course, this is the age of deception, and we're certainly in some crazy times. I mean, the whole world is locked down over basically a mild flu. But yeah, tomorrow in the lounge we'll discuss the mega inflation of all the numbers. I'll even show that doctors are now on record admitting that they've been told to list deaths as COVID-19 even if they're not, admitting that fear is the best way to control people. It's just really how the media has run with this non-story and caused panic, desperation, job loss. It's definitely a changing of the times, and it's a removal of our God-given rights, and people have all but invited it. They've actually cheered it on.
Yes.
And, asked for it. How are things over there now? Getting worse as we speak, or?
Yes, it's getting worse in terms of not in the, when you go out to the street, there is no police or military guys on the street. Of course there are, but not so many. It's not like
Right.
Living in Italy or maybe Spain.
Or New York.
But for example, or New York, exactly. But for example, the newspapers here in Argentina start talking about that Argentina must be going to digital currency.
Right.
So you start thinking, well, we know that this kind of thing's gonna happen, but not so quickly, not so fast, maybe. And everyone is, it's insane because here, for example, maybe different from you, living in Europe or United States, here we don't have access with fair treatment in terms of the digital currency. In fact, here, for example, when you use PayPal, if you want to use that money, the government and all the institutions in the middle,
They charge you a
left you
percentage,
only
huh?
with the 60% of what you.
Yeah, that's
what
crazy
you
to hear. I don't know if people know that, but if Euro wants to use, I can't send him PayPal anymore, but if somebody sends him PayPal and he wants to use it, he has to incur a tax on that. His government takes some of that, so that's
But
insanity.
here it's not only the government; it's also the agencies in the middle, the bank agencies in the middle. And if you have $1 and you want to convert to the peso, Argentinian currency, from $1 is like you receive 60 cents.
Right. So who gets that other?
It's too much.
Who gets that other percentage? You're talking about the middlemen get that?
Yeah, the banks,
Right.
the other agency in the middle, and the government, and then the taxes from the government because you receive dollars and blah 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 blah. So 40% is gone to the taxes.
Insane.
So it's insane. So that is why I what I'm trying to say is, okay, they want to change to a digital currency, but the infrastructure and all the agencies in the middle, we are not prepared to do that in the fair way. So I don't know what's going to happen, but here we talk the same things as you talk in your country, as the guys talking in Europe. There is a lot of situations, people speculating about if the dollar is going to become a digital dollar, or the euro is going to go down or up, or what's going to happen, and that kind of thing.
Right. Well, definitely support Iru if you can. Like he said, he's doing great work and he could really use your support. So if you scroll down in this video, you'll see links to his English channel, to his Spanish channel, to his Patreon at patreon.com/neuropadatodos, and then also his website. So we're going to be checking this out. Like I said, if you want to talk more about Corona and what's going on with all that, definitely tune into the lounge tomorrow. We'll have a bunch of people on the show and talk about all the fun things like the PCR test that's flawed. I mean, the false positives are of a ridiculous number at this point. So obviously, surprise, surprise, we all, again, shouldn't be believing what's coming from the news. They are propaganda. They are false. They're destroying lives right now, and they are liars. Hospitals are empty. Medical centers are laying off nurses. I know of several nurses that I've talked to that are getting less hours. Here locally, they're going to be removing like 33% of the workforce because there's just nobody in these medical centers, nobody in the hospitals. So what you're hearing on the news is not at all what's going on in reality. And sure, are they setting up tents everywhere? And are these, they're getting ready for what they believe is a pandemic coming. But again, that's based off of faulty information and completely incorrect numbers. So
here is the same thing. And in fact, the government is talking about like we are waiting for the worst because now it's going winter here.
Oh, that's true. You guys are going the opposite way, where we're going to summer, where we should be coming out of the flu season.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen. But from now and for close the topic, until 23 of April, we must be go inside. We must stay inside of our houses.
Yeah, that's the same here. I think through the end of April is what they've said so far. And let's hope things get back to normal after that point. Who knows how far they're going to take this. But it really depends on people standing up for what's right and get outside and do the things that you need to do in your life. Have a good time. I was talking to Playing Permaculture, is a channel that wants to do a presentation soon on my channel, and he was talking today on Skype with me about how important it is for people to get back to the important things, family, planting, getting back in touch with nature, doing all the nature things that we've been talking about forever that people just forget about, and stop watching that black screen in your house that's scaring the living daylights out of you. Thank you so much for Becky T, who sent a super chat, says looking forward to part 4, guys. Thank you very much. Yeah, as am I. So go ahead, Iru, go ahead and share your screen. Let's see if we can get it set up here.
Let me just touch the buttons.
Yeah, touch the buttons.
Yes, I say buttons. I know that is a funny word, but I'm going to change it.
Oh, you have funny ones. Don't worry. That's not even the funniest one.
So supposedly right now,
boom. Yeah, you're on.
I'm sharing, and let me just for check as like NASA checking sound. Let me see if there is sound.
Different
modes sound there.
Okay.
I watched I don't know if you watched NASA launched to the space station today. Did you watch any of that?
No, because I woke up really late in the morning because I was a little depressed about my my channel, so I sleep. Yesterday, last night I didn't sleep, so everything was confused. So I don't see so much on the news.
Well, we'll look at it tomorrow. It's nonsense. They had this, so of course they tell everybody they're going to be live streaming the entire thing. And it was nothing like it always is. You watch the launch, it gets out over the water, it disappears from your sight. All of a sudden, they switch the camera to the space view, and then they have some nonsense views of the docking. Just really hilarious.
Yeah, the same thing. So continue with the presentation. Of course, everyone maybe see the 3 parts, but. In the first 3 parts, we tackle the topic about if there is any possibilities in terms of the technology to cover or to make the so-called NASA Bluebeam project, which is using sounds directly to your head, using holographic technology, using all these kind of tactics like destroying the archaeologists, history
records,
and replace it or reinterpret it. So everything of that, at least in this just tiny presentation, we cover that is not just possible, but they are doing it.
Right.
And they have all the pieces on the table to do it. Of course, something that we discussed along the presentation was the possibility to change, few pieces in terms of maybe they don't need to project any kind of supernatural manifestation in the sky, because maybe they can use the main goal behind this is to present some kind of invisible enemy.
Right.
And we are really seeing that how displays in real life with, for example, with the corona.
Absolutely. We've talked about that the last 3 episodes, basically, so people can go back if you haven't seen part 1, 2, and 3. And we talked about how the coronavirus itself could be this invisible enemy that brings the world together under one world order, basically fulfilling the prophecies of the NWO.
Exactly. And it's also really interesting because here in the main document, they talk about one political government, one economic currency, and that is also what is getting off this coronavirus. Because yes, there is the coronavirus and all the things that concern to the health of the people, but after all, they are using this for start talking about we need burn the paper because could be have the virus on the paper, so we need to transfer to a digital currency. So it's also that is happening It's
Right.
also another topic that is
And like
happening in our faces.
like Iru has said, this document, they could have changed since this document came out. They could have changed their direction. They could have seen an easier path to their end goal, and it could be this whole idea of a virus or a pandemic. So we're just really pointing things out and showing you how easy it is for them to subjugate the citizens to whatever they want.
Exactly, and something that start, and we discussed this topic in our chat here in Skype. But the new Messiah, and at the first glance in your head when you heard the word Messiah, immediately you think in this kind of Messiah. Someone who came from the sky, dressed in white, floating in the density of the earth, not in the anti-gravity propulsion, nothing like that. It's just levitating and coming to the ground and start speaking with echo, because all the Messiah has like echo in the voice, and this kind of characteristic that are present in religion. But maybe they change to our modern times kind of Messiah, and maybe there could be some kind of scientist or politician, because we are know that there is this not new, but this for many of us new thing about endorsing the figure of some politicians like Putin or Donald Trump or whatever it comes. I am not saying that the guy is not making things that it's good for the humanity, but at least my opinion is, I like to open both eyes, because the Jesuits are super specialist in showing one hand, and the other hand is doing another different thing.
Right.
So of course they're going to give you a lot of good things to keep you on that track, but at the same time they're also doing what they need, and what they need is, for example, implementing wireless technology like the 5G, to the complain the biometrics and all the stuff related with this technocracy,
Right.
the tracking system. And of course Donald Trump talks about in his government implement the tracking system visa for the people that came from Mexico and blah blah blah, but also from their own citizens. And again, I don't want to bring that topic, but we need to think differently when we read new Messiah, because maybe it's not someone coming from the sky.
Right.
It's maybe someone that there is, here on earth, and could be a scientist or an institution or a politician or something like that.
Right. They're very good at this whole act or art of subterfuge, which is deception, showing you one thing and actually it being another completely.
Exactly. So talking about universal supernatural manifestation, well, the last days we have a few of them. I don't know you guys in the north, but here in Argentina and some part of Europe, a lot of people reporting, big noises again, that we cover that also, the hums, the styling of these sounds, coming from the...
Right.
I'm not going to play all the video, but we know that could be something related with tunnel constructions, or maybe some movement on the ground, natural movement, or earthquakes, things like that. But here on Argentina, there is a lot of people recording again this type of sounds. And like I tell you, for me, it's like we need to reinterpret some of the main topics in this document, but the majority it's completely on track, and they have everything in place to do it. And the last part that I want to cover is related with the part of the religious part of this document, because of course United Nations has a really occultist part in terms of its foundations, how the people involved at the beginning of this institution. And the speech from George Bush talking about that we have the opportunity to forge for us and our generations, next generations, a newer order based on the ideals from the US UN founders. And the UN founders are occultists. So
absolutely,
we need to take that into consideration.
No different than those who started NASA. So, all the same groups.
And in fact, if you read these 17 topics or items from the Sustainable Development Goals, it's the same thing if you read the Georgia Guidestones. It's the same kind of thing, because you can interpret it a lot of these things like, okay, the health, or for example, the gender equality being the controlling the guide the reproduction, which is, I believe, the 4 or 5 point in the item in the exactly. So everything is in place, and it's have like one point that converge everything what is happening in our days. So that maybe is the scary part. And if you go directly to the UN, the first thing that maybe call the attention is the place for this religious room that you can go there to meditate or pray, or just breathe deep, make a deep breath, whatever you want to interpret it as a meditation or as a prayer. But the shape is very, very, storytelling, because of course we have this type of pyramid shape with the upper part cut off.
Right.
We have
the capstone missing.
Again, sorry.
From the capstone or the top of the pyramid missing, of course, like the dollar bill.
We have this black monolith in the middle. I don't know if monolith is the correct word.
Monolith, you got it.
Monolith, exactly. We have the shining light, one source of shining light, and of course we understand what that means in terms of all the idea to bring light to the darkness, which is a nice concept, of course, but you must understand who is saying that, because for me it's not the same. If I say it, okay, I'm a regular guy, but if you're an occultist and you start talking about this bring light into the darkness, could have another complete different meaning.
Absolutely. And it could mean Lucifer. They think of Lucifer as the light, so it's a much different kind of light than we might be talking about.
Exactly. And in fact, it's called the Stone of the Light, given by Sweden in 1957. Then you have this picture in the back of the wall, and if you analyze, it has 13 triangles, which represent the 13 steps in the pyramid of the $1 bill. It also has 33 quadrants, which also represent the 33 quadrants in the UN logo. It has 72 figures, geometric figures. So you have, if you can interpret this as a symbol or equivalent to have directly the $1 bill symbology. Camouflage in this kind of sun and moon and dark and white concept, which also belong to the occultists, especially in the Freemasonry. They use a lot of the duality interpreted in these two colors. But for maybe if the press go there and take a picture, it's just a simple room. But if you are initiated in these occultic things, you're gonna see this as a pyramid with the eye. It's something like that what I want to present. But this is for fact inside of the UN, and it's the important thing. Then you must go, of course, directly to Lucy Trust, because one of the main characters behind all the foundation of the UN and also the books that are publishing, and if you go back to the early times, you're gonna came across with Lucy Trust. I don't know if you know about it a little bit.
A little bit, yep.
Okay, and they changed the name after a few things, because it's changed for Lucy Publishing Company, but the first name was Lucifer Publishing Company. So right away, if they are talking about, this is the institution that's controlled the whole world, occidental part of the world, the West world. Because from the UN, it's the branches is the OTAN. I don't know if NATO. I think is in English.
NATO.
NATO, yeah, UNESCO. The UNICEF, which is from the kids, for kids. I mean, everything came from this main institution, and this main institution is completely an occultist institution, right in your faces, and they are telling you that, simple right away. So if you go to, I leave this for everyone to research from themselves, but I mean, if you want to, maybe read a little bit, which is in red, so.
Sure, yeah. It says the objectives of the Lucis Trust are stated in its charter as to encourage the study of comparative religion, philosophy, science, and art, to encourage every line of thought tending to the broadening of human sympathies and interests and to the expansion of ethical, religious, and educational literature, to assist or to engage in activities for the relief of suffering, for the human betterment, and in general to further worthy efforts for humanitarian and educational goals or ends.
Or ends. Of course, if you read it right away, you say, oh, well, that.
Oh, great. They're
nice.
Fantastic.
Great.
Love
it's
it.
fantastic.
I want to invite them over for dinner.
Exactly. But educational ends is for their educational goals,
right,
which is like an indoctrination for us.
Right.
So you need to, read very carefully. And of course, every time you access to this kind of tiny breadcrumbs, you're going to find esoteric philosophy, arcane school, all this, which is esoteric training. So that is not what they teach openly in our schools.
Right, exactly.
So there is, like this dichotomy, or I don't know how to pronounce, but this is the main, when Bush said the New World Order is based on the UN founders. Well, this is part of the UN founders.
Right.
So then the husband of this woman, it was...
We're talking about Alice Bailey, right?
Yeah, exactly. And even in Wikipedia, you have like Valley was initiated into the Charles W. Moore Lodge of Freemason. He rose to 33 degrees and wrote The Spirit of Masonry. And I bring this just for wake up people and saying again, we have the Freemasonry right in the way, in our faces, controlling or not controlling, but be part
behind,
of this institution.
Right. At the core, you always find this.
In the core, you always find, and if you go to NASA, because if we take the main goal of and we don't change everything, and we don't change nothing from the original document. Well, the final goal is this alien invasion. So you have all these occultist lodges behind NASA, behind the UN, behind the media, behind the schools, the education. So of course the end goal and the final result is gonna be what they wanted, So all this is also related, of course, with Madame Blavatsky, which is a very controversial character and topic in itself, because I believe if you read something, I am not a specialist of Madame Blavatsky, but I read a few texts, and of course, it gives you some kind of, main topics to at least. I don't say wake up, but be aware of what the people use with, the tools that they are using in these, rituals and ceremonies, and trying to what they trying to achieve. I don't know if this woman is, what supposedly is for us, which is like a demonic, the quote unquote demonic or bad influence, because you have another part, like Rudolf Steiner, which also is related with this woman, and they say like they take our knowledge and change it and use for them, and there is all the time this kind of discussion if they are good or bad, and maybe there was, a good person trying to get free from your spirit, but the main lodges and the main occultists take that and change it, and so
You kind of cut out there. Oop,
again, sorry.
there you go. You cut out for a second, but you're back.
Okay. No, what I'm trying to say is, for me, for example, something that really changed my understanding of the spiritual, so-called spiritual world, was when I have my first astral projection at 21 years old. But I didn't do it based on nothing of this knowledge. I'm just was something naturally, and then I'm started to research about that. And because I was like a super heliocentric scientist type of guy, believing that nothing is beyond our material life, and I have that first experience. I'm start research, make research, and trying to get practice. And I came across with this page that I always show, which is the out of body experience, which is a really it's free and really easy book to read, and it's not involved with any kind of avatar or a doctrine. That for me it's the most important thing. I don't like any kind. I don't want to name any kind of avatar or religions,
Right.
doctrine, nothing like that. And of course all these people named Lucifer. So that is
Right.
the part that I don't like behind that. But like
and
always, they're gonna give you some truth, and
Right.
then trying to change it for their own convenience. So that is what I'm trying to say. Maybe for my English, I give a little kind of strange twist to explain
No,
myself.
she's a very
I am
strange-
not supporting this.
Right.
But
No. She's a very strange person, an occultist, a pantheist, kind of like Aleister Crowley. She was like a spirit medium. And I guess a lot of her stuff was even deemed to be fraudulent, of course. But, she would say that she was in certain areas of the world at certain times, and it was found out later that she wasn't. Of course, she said she talked to no, I don't think she said afterlife. It was more like she's talking to the masters of ancient
Exactly.
wisdom or something. Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is there is a warfare in terms of the spiritual thing. It's not just that is my opinion, of course. I see my body in my bed a lot of times, and I trying to practice that. So for me, nobody can tell me, hey, after that everything is gone and
Right.
you are dead forever and ever. Okay, if you want to think in that way, think in that way. For me, it's impossible to think in that way because I have the experience. So I cannot, I have experience that show me completely other thing. So the thing, what I'm trying to say is this kind of knowledge has part of that kind of experience. But like you said, it's also have a lot of science fiction and fantasy and things like it's maybe, out of track. But the main goal is, like you mentioned before, these people is related with Aleister Crowley, and
Right.
not with only with them, but also was the pivot for the basic spiritual character in terms of the UN. I mean, this woman was, part of the UN in some way. So again, we have all these families and all these people behind, and supposedly like a universal institution or one world
Well, I
institution.
believe that she was the creator of the Theosophical Society.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
And not just that, but he also has a close relation with the Freemasonry.
Of course. Yeah.
And of course, she was part of the UN. And I read this book, Isis Without Veil. I don't know how to is the original name in English,
It's,
which is a very
Isis-
nice book to read. But again, it's going to try to put you in worship to Lucifer.
Right. It's Isis Unveiled. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That was her whole theosophical worldview. basically describing theosophy as a bringing together of science, religion, and philosophy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
It's the ancient wisdom behind all the world religions is what she was trying to teach. But it's communicating with these ancient spirits.
yeah, in fact, here in Spanish said that supposedly this woman was in contact with ascended masters.
Right.
So
yeah, the difference between that
is,
and like a spirit realm is a lot of people say that they communicate with the dead, and she was saying it's not so much the dead, but it is this ancient wisdom. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So, for example, but because maybe I talked so much, but the thing is, all these characters are behind the UN,
Right.
and the document from the Blue Beam NASA project came from UN. So we have all these branches that came together in some point. And for example, I don't know how to pronounce Wilmshort. He wrote in the sense of Freemasonry. I'm going to try to translate it live, but it said in this new age of Aquarius, when a lot of individuals and groups are working in different way to eventually bring back the old mysteries, a number of growing people or initiated are start waking to recognize that the Freemasonry could be very well a very well vehicle to obtain our goals. And that is why I believe we are seeing so much the growing and the infiltration behind the Freemasonry, because on top of the Freemasonry are the Jesuit order. And if you it's one plus one is two. I mean, if you go to the records and history and start reading who created the Freemasonry and blah blah blah, why the Freemasons construct all the cathedrals, and supposedly it's your enemy and you build the temples, is a really strange thing. But the Jesuit order is behind the Freemasonry, at least in my opinion, for what I'm read. But they cannot use directly the Jesuit order. It's like because even in their own oath, it's called the word, the oath to,
Yep.
They say they cannot take political places. They cannot, go public in terms of political relationship or economic relationships, in terms of international relationship. So they are always behind the curtain, because that is the main oath behind the Jesuit order. So they use this layer called Freemasonry to infiltrate, all the institutions, and that is what we're seeing. I mean, the big pharma, the big companies, the bankers, even if you are a Jewish or a Zionist, you also have connection with Freemasonry. So it's like, the Rothschild was also, at least, let me just very quickly show you the picture, but you can find it, of course, online, because it's, in our days, it's like nothing is a secret.
Right.
So let me just show you. But for example, I believe it's here. This was one of the Rothschilds, and I don't say that all the family is Freemasonry, but is related.
Right.
And here in Argentina, so I mean, there is this mixture, behind. Like you could be a Jesuit, you could be a communist, or you could be a Jewish, whatever. But at the end, they all belong to this. This is the Pope Francis. All belong to this main institution that controls everything, at least in the public eyes, not behind, but on public. That is what they call Freemasonry right now.
Right. Do you think that she was trying to bring out some of the hidden information from those organizations and factions, or was she still trying to hide it?
It's very difficult. I mean, there is, 50-50 if you want to, and I know there is not so
well, I've heard
good response.
But you hear both ends of it. I was just wondering. Yeah, I've heard both sides of the story. Of course, there's the people who think Aleister Crowley was trying to bring truth and trying to bring a love for all and love being the highest order, and there's those people, and then there's the people that see it the opposite way. Same thing with Blavatsky.
Yeah, exactly. And this depiction of Freemasonry, for me, it's very storytelling, because this is the Jesuit order. For me, this is my interpretation.
Right.
But we have, all these people that, it's very suspicious that all the politicians, even Donald Trump, study in the Jesuit order.
Right.
And of course, I can go to, I didn't, but I can go to a Jesuit school, but I am not selected to do that. I just go there because my family thinks that maybe it's a better education and they pay.
Right.
And
that's what happened to me. Right. I mean, that's my parents tried to get me into a school that played, that had high sports. I was a basketball player, and so that's the thing that we selected to go to that school. Of course, I go there and become disillusioned with education and religion altogether. But there's those that are selected that must go through that education and move on and ascend from there.
Exactly, because it's just marketing for our parent. It's the marketing of, no, this school is
so
one
expensive.
of the best school, and
so expensive too.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is one thing. But the other thing is like, and I showed that at the beginning of the presentation. But let me just get back to the Bernard Russell that say, I believe the education in the scientific society could be described like with an analogy of the education that the Jesuit order gives. The Jesuit give a class of education to the child which become workers, and the other for the child that become selected to develop, or be members of the Jesuit Jesus company, to develop like governance, scientifics. Not that I know there is right in Spanish, but you can find it in English too. So I mean, we can be in the same school with Obama, but we are not Obama, because they doesn't choose us to develop that role in society. But it's very suspicious that all the presidents here in Argentina happen the same thing. They all belong to these institutions and they are put on power. So everyone is like, they need to give back some favors, if you want to see in that way, right?
Absolutely.
And then what they did was brilliant in terms of first of all, with all this heliocentric model, they take out our spirits. And I don't say that we become all atheists, because nobody's an atheist. You can believe in some goddess or some prophets, and if not, you believe in the sun god. So you're never gonna be like not believing nothing. Mm-hmm. The people, maybe they don't think when athos, it's also referred to a Greek god of the sun. So when you are an atheist, it's like saying, okay, I am not believe in this or that prophet or God, but I believe in the sun God. So after all, you are believing in some kind of God, in this, and always is the sun, because for me, a lot of prophets in the religions, it's all a straight comparison or analogy to the sun God. But that is my opinion. But in our days, what we are seeing is all these, super master, ascendant master, and you have all the colors, all the tastes, so nobody gets out. You have everything is like, became like a sport league of spiritual masters. So they did it. They create all these kind of things, so they can bring, maybe they can pick one or choose another to bring as a messiah, or who knows which is the plan behind it. And the relationship between all this that I'm talking and the UN and the NASA Bluebeam project is what you referred before. I mean, there is all this connection to Aleister Crowley.
Of course.
And maybe because I'm showing at the beginning of the presentation, the first part, but it really changed our depiction of the UFO. Because before Aleister Crowley, the idea of beings coming out of our planet was more like big insect or maybe some metallic robot,
right.
And things like that. But nobody thinks in these terms, like a human being, tiny with black big eyes and this big head and things like that. Until at least I don't gonna say the only one, but Aleister Crowley with his a ritual or ceremony in the Central Park, invoking this being called Lam.
It definitely started around that time, yeah.
Yeah, and if you pronounce this backwards in Latin, the word mal instead of lam, mal means bad.
Mm-hmm.
So had this maybe they love to write in backwards, read in backwards, walk in backwards, and all that kind of stuff. So it's very convenient that just if you read it backwards in Latin means something bad, So again, I put this picture because this picture is you can find it there. Is Friedrich Nietzsche, of course, belonged also to Freemasonry, and all these guys are behind the idea to kill our spiritual knowledge. For me, the church was the first institution to control it, presenting false prophets and false idea, false history, false books. Everything is super mixed between a lot of things to control us. And then they change to this next level, which is even confuses more and trying to kill every aspect of a creation. And all the guys behind it, even Nietzsche is also Freemasonry, of course. And again, all these guys are trying to, first of all, empty our soul of that knowledge and following the idea of if you are empty, now we can put you wherever we want. And when you start, for example, hearing about the science of our days, and I'm going to play this video that I know many of you already know about this video. But this is a clearly, for me at least, depiction of what's going on, because now we are empty as spiritual beings in the west part of the world, and now the scientists controlling the narrative of the reinterpretation of the antiquity and the ancient myth. Now we are created by aliens.
Right.
So they first confuse us with a lot of part of true and part of lie, of religious or connection with a creation, with a creator. And then in the last 100 years, they go forward and they directly rip apart of that. So now we are empty. So they are ready to put inside us the new idea that our creator came from the start and is an alien and that kind of thing.
Is this the Richard Dawkins interview?
Yeah, exactly. Boy. So I'm going to play it just for the record, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, then who did create the heavens and the earth?
Why do you use the word who? You see, you immediately beg the question by using the word who.
Well, then how did it get created?
Well, by a very slow process.
Well, how did it start?
Nobody knows how it started. We know the kind of event that it must have been. We know the sort of event that must have happened for the origin of life.
I really love that this guy said, we know the event. that must be happening. Oh, of course, man. You was there in the beginning of time.
Our mathematics says so.
Exactly.
It was the origin of the first self-replicating molecule.
Right. And how did that happen?
I told you we don't know.
So you have no idea how it started?
No, nor has anybody.
Nor has anyone else. What do you think is the possibility that intelligent design might turn out to be the answer to some issues in genetics or in evolution?
It could come about in the following way. It could be that at some earlier time, somewhere in the universe,
I really like how he touched the nose, when they say, well because he's preparing to lie. That's my opinion, of course. You can see all the body language that he's not comfortable.
That guy's one of the biggest jokes there is.
Totally agree.
Civilization evolved as
No, and this is the worst part. And all civilization evolved by a Darwinian's method. Of course, I mean.
Civilization evolved by probably some kind of Darwinian means to a very, very high level of technology and designed a form of life that they seeded onto perhaps this planet. Now, that is a possibility and an intriguing possibility. And I suppose it's possible that you might find evidence for that if you look at the details of biochemistry, molecular biology. You might find a signature of some sort of designer.
Wait a second. Richard Dawkins thought intelligent design might be a legitimate pursuit?
And that designer could well be a higher intelligence from elsewhere in the universe. But that higher intelligence would itself have had to have come about by some explicable or ultimately explicable process. It couldn't have just jumped into existence spontaneously. That's the point.
So Professor Dawkins was not against intelligent design, just certain types of designers, such as God.
And you can replace the word God for your preference word. I am not believe in that kind of God that this guy is referring. But what I'm trying to show behind this is that how they start changing the narrative, and how they trying to, because of course we talk about this in the first presentation, but this is Ancient Alien, but instead of doing in some kind of entertainment way, is a very prestigious writer talking, in this kind of intellectual discussion, saying, well, could be some intelligent design behind but for no, you can be sure that we don't shap into existence.
Right. So they always go back to Darwin because Darwin is their god. So they'll always go back to there could be many different things, but they must have come about in a Darwinian way.
Exactly. And even in all this symbology behind the idea of pan, even the word, if you're trying to, for example, if you put the Lawrence Krauss idea behind, how they start changing the narrative again and, make this relationship, between the stars and Jesus, which is a hilarious clip. So let me just play and then analyze it, because they are, trying to, change things.
I take it back to when I said that Darwin or Dawkins was the most ridiculous person. I think Krauss pretty much.
You forget this.
I forgot about Krauss. How dare I?
Exactly.
The amazing thing is that every atom in your body came from a star that exploded. And the atoms in your left hand probably came from a different star than your right hand. It really is the most poetic thing I know about physics. You are all stardust. You couldn't be here if stars hadn't exploded, because the elements, the carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, iron, all the things that matter for evolution weren't created at the beginning of time. They're created in the nuclear furnaces of stars, and the only way they can get into your body is if the stars were kind enough to explode. So forget Jesus. The stars died so that you could be here today, okay? And anyway.
And I really love this guy, in the World Science Festival, presenting the idea of the Star Trek space-time travel with a condom. And that's for real.
That's real, yeah.
Yeah. So this, the feminist is going to take it very bad, this situation. And me too. And, but, if you, and I know, and I'm really sorry because maybe my English doesn't allow me to express more deeply in terms of what I'm trying to say. But if you take this discussion, this kind of idea, they are replacing just the religion from one to the other, right. And they are transferring concepts between physical characters to stars, right. To aliens, even like I said before, if you ask to this guy one of the theories behind, how that first replicated cellular replication or whatever it said, how became to the earth, how enter into the earth.
And they know that people that have become disillusioned with religion will love to hear that, right? Forget Jesus dying for you. Stars have died for you. Stars have made the ultimate sacrifice for you to be here today. And then he gets a huge uproar and he's very excited and gets a hard on and all that.
Exactly. And like I mentioned before, I mean, let me just make the background for explaining this part. But in the ancient cultures, the world, the planet, if you want to know the planet, the world, it's a woman because it's fertile. It can give lives. And it's called, for example, if you came to Latin America, they're going to talk about Pachamama, like Big Mother. And this is the representation of Mother Earth, right? And everyone calls Mother Earth. Mm-hmm. But for certain group of people, which was occultists, they changed the concept for nature to be a woman that can give birth and have childs, mm-hmm. with the picture of this, which is the God Pan. Mm-hmm. This is the representation of nature for the occultist.
Right.
There is, if you go to the official records in our day, it's going to tell you, Pan is just a super sympathetic guy which represents nature. But what they are doing is, this is a really nice guy.
No,
I mean, this is official.
It's a hermaphrodite demon, really.
Yeah, I don't want this guy to have a conversation,
No, I'd rather not.
And of course, everyone knows the relationship with Peter Pan and pandemia, panacea, panic. Everything is with Pan, mm-hmm. at the beginning. In fact, here, because you guys in your language, you call bread, right? Bread, what you eat,
Yeah, bread.
Make it, yeah, bread. But here, in the Spanish language, it's called pan. And the church when you pray, you use the word, Lord, bring me the pan to my home.
Oh, wow.
And, and for example, here, if I type, for example, if I want to say, when you go to, how you call panaderia? Bakery?
Mm-hmm.
Bakery?
Yeah,
in Spanish, it's called panaderia.
Yeah, we have those in this country, yeah.
Well, the famous the famous item inside of panaderia is the pan called flute. So this is the pan flute. This is what you buy, which has the shape of a penis, and you are eating the penis of Pan.
Wow.
And that is the thing that it talks inside church. Give me the pan of every day,
Right, yeah.
So it's very, very perverted thing. And how is this
right.
related?
And he is supposed to be the god of sexuality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This object, how I don't know how to pronounce well, is representing this part of the body.
Phallic symbol.
That this is the pan flute. It's not just this type of flute. This is not the flute of Pan. The flute of Pan is this one.
Right.
So they changed, the Mother Earth to the Father Earth, mm-hmm. and the Father Earth is this one. And I see a lot of these pan representation in Europe, in the goods, in church, in castles, in everywhere, because this is their god, the great god Pan. And everything is related. And how we could relate it with the NASA Blue Beam project? Well, one of the biggest theory behind the idea of how life came to Earth is the panspermia. So it's the sperma of Pan, because the Earth is infertile. So the Earth need the sperma of Pan. So it's insane. I mean,
and that's where it came from, pandemonia.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even the theory behind, how the life developed in our world, panspermia, some bacteria or some
Came
kind
from
of
outside,
came from outside, enter in our Earth, and make fertile. So again, even when you read panspermia, immediately in your head is going to appear the idea of asteroid, comets, meteors, space debris, space dust, because you need that to enter into the world coming from outside, but of course with the word pan at the beginning. Even our first type of world was called Pangea,
Right.
the earth of Pan, which is, and in fact the word Pan is it's literally demon.
Yep. And it's a half goat, half human. For people who don't know that. I don't know if they know that. Of course, with the horns.
Exactly. So that is, at least in my opinion, how is everything is related. Of course, we know Chuck Parson, we know Aleister Crowley. So maybe I don't know if I make some kind of Pandora, like it's saying here in the chat. I don't want to be, to confuse people with my goals and back to the slices, but I believe like you can see everything that is related with space, even the famous telescope called Lucifer, but supposedly it means large binocular telescope near infrared. So there you have 4 words, but use 1 letter.
And you talked about
Then
you talked about Pan being Peter Pan, right?
yes, and
then,
I show here.
Yeah, and
Peter
then
Pan
there's
here.
the one from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and then you have the Pied Piper. Many people know about the Pied Piper, which can be called the Pan Piper if you want. He has the same kind of little flute, and they all lead children into a magical world. The magical world of beyond.
Yeah, it's like exactly to beyond. So you never come back. If you are a child and you go to with Pan, and like they say here, you have the equivalent because you eat pancakes.
Right. Or pandemic.
Or pandemic, pansexual. So it's everywhere, but it's also related with the space, with the word panspermia. So this is the type of hypnosis we are in terms of this insane people behind the curtains using everything they can to brainwash us, simply as that. So for me, the last part that I want to present is the idea, because like we mentioned before, maybe they change, they present, they split this type of final goal in terms of the new Messiah, the new God. Of course, could be right now, like I said before, a scientist or a politician or an institution itself, but also because for be God, for be a Messiah, you really needs to, answer everything. No, if not, it's like a very poor type of God.
Very.
So something that fit perfectly in our days with that is the idea of the artificial intelligence. Because that could be the one language that is in the items of the Georgia Guidestones that said unify the world,
The races,
with the race with one language. And people believe that maybe we are going to talk one language in terms of the English is gonna be the official language, but
English
for me it's more
Go ahead.
No, I mean, for me, it's going to be more like in this kind of, way of thinking. Maybe the artificial intelligence is going to replace. It's going to be one language because it's going to be consultant every time. I mean, this could talk. You can talk in Chinese, and it's going to translate and to your language, and you can ask question, and you can, using for everything. It's going to be there. The technology with this kind of technology behind it. We are, of course, everybody knows which is a smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the beginning of the really artificial intelligence behind it. So they present maybe this kind of thing, and this is complete speculation. I just, dropping ideas because nobody has the final end of the NASA Bluebeam project, but could be that kind of thing. Also, Elon Musk, because Elon Musk talk about everything. You can have it, giving lectures talking about with artificial intelligence we are calling demons.
Mm-hmm.
Then the same guy said we live in a holographic universe.
Mm-hmm.
And then the same guy said we live in computer simulation. So he covered everything,
Right.
And then you're going to see.
He
It's
says there's
amazing.
one in a billion chance that we're a base society, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's basically saying that we were created by some other being. So we are basically a computer simulation or created by some other more advanced beings.
Yeah. So they have aliens that design us
Mm-hmm.
via a Darwinian evolution method. Then they have the idea of we are in computer simulation. No, we are in a holographic universe. So, Hawkins was right. And if doesn't of that works, well, we are, using the artificial intelligence, and we are calling demons with quantum computers
Right.
and quantum computers. Yeah.
We're
But the real
reaching
thing,
into other existences, other universes to pull out this information. Quantum computing.
exactly. But the real thing is we are speculating about this, but in real life, they are giving this kind of idea to society.
Oh, yeah.
And let me just play that clip from through more Strange Than Fiction, which is I really like his not his religious part, but his research.
No, he does great stuff. Yeah. I've talked
It's
to him
a
a few
really
times.
a great researcher. So I'm gonna play this tiny clip.
You're inventing different modes of thinking, entirely new modes of thinking, and entirely new kinds of minds. And these minds are very, very valuable because there are probably certain difficult problems in business and in science that may exceed our human capability of solving, where we actually may need to solve it in a two-step process of first inventing a different kind of thinking that can work with us to solve these very difficult problems. So there may be things like quantum gravity, dark energy, things like that. The unification of the different fields in physics may require us to actually invent other types of thinkings so that together we can work together to solve those kind of problems. Even in business, there may be lots of new uses and new kinds of minds that we will develop and invent in order to solve certain problems. So what we're kind of doing is filling the possibility space with all these different types of minds. And we may have hundreds of different species of thinking as we go forward. What we get out of this is really kind of like alien intelligences. You might even think about these AIs as not artificial intelligences, but alien intelligences, or artificial aliens for that matter, in the sense that they are thinking different. And of course, thinking different is the foundation of innovation and wealth in the new economy, thinking different. How can you think different while remain connected to 7 billion people? It's a really big challenge because AIs think differently. They are actually going to be an asset to us as we go forward.
So I know this is a very selective piece that I choose. This is not the main concern or I don't know how to say the main idea behind all this. There is other people that think different, using his words. But it came out there the idea of maybe quantum computer can take from another dimension
Right.
ideas, and that is official.
That's official. That's what they say.
That's official.
It's getting its
Exactly.
answers from a place that exists where all the answers are. It's basically able to reach into that and pull it out.
Exactly. So, we have all these concepts that are on the table. It's very difficult, at least for me, to comprehend and trying to give final opinion. I am not capable to do something like that. But after all, they have all the technology, all the pieces, all the guys behind it. Everything is in place to give maybe the final touch to this idea of the NASA Blue Beam project and achieve what they want to, which is then one government, one economy, one politic, one currency, one religion, etc., etc., etc. And for finish the presentation, and I don't know why I left these slides here, but what we think in terms of alien, because I don't want to discredit or avoid the idea that maybe we have
right
other civilizations.
But
that
they would
could be
would come
like
from the extraterrestrial, the extra land, not from light years away in spaceships.
Exactly. Yeah, and maybe they have our same body. They are not tall and fit and thin and things that kind of concept. We don't know that. Of course, there is literally how you pronounce
literally
no literatura, how you say literature. Sorry for my English. Books, you have books,
right?
Science fiction books, mixed with maybe some kind of reality behind it. There is a lot of text that talks about this idea of another civilization beyond the poles. But in real, even I really like when the music industry gives some hints, about the idea of another kind of infinity from Deep Purple, and is the Antarctic world. But the real fact is we don't know what's going on in the South Pole or in Antarctic.
And they don't want us to.
So that is for real fact. Then if it's the end of the world, if there is some kind of cupola that encloses everything or not, or it's more land beyond and whatever, in our times, we cannot prove or disprove. So, well, you have another reference to that. And I know, and I'm going just to present this talk, and maybe it doesn't, maybe it's not a good moment for playing this this radio show, but you remember the so-called frenetic phone call from a guy that supposedly worked in Area 51 to this radio show, saying that what we believe as alien, there are interdimensional beings. So supposedly the same guy a few weeks later called to the show, Art Bell show, and say, well, it was all a joke. I make the call and want to give you like a prank thing.
Right.
And they start, so the host asked for the guy to make the same kind of thing again, well, make it again. And if you listen, yeah, it could be everything could be in the same way. It could be like a prank thing,
right?
But the idea behind it in 1997, talking about, well, what we call as an alien are intradimensional beings, at least it's something to take into consideration, because 20 years later, that is what we're talking about too. I mean, for me, the spiritual world, it's I don't say undeniable, but I have that experience, and I cannot deny that, for me at least, that something has happened out of the body in that kind of astral world, you know. So, and you have this idea in so many books, so many texts, and of course,
well, it's everywhere. Yeah,
it's everywhere. And the elite, I believe, what they made all these ceremonies and rituals and used all these symbols and talks about demons or so-called demons. So something must be there, you know. That is my opinion, and this is the part of the show that is just speculation, because it's not something that you can put on the table like a scientific way, you know, presenting evidence.
No, you just have to look at the preponderance of it and how many people have reported such and make your own mind up from there.
Exactly. So I really recommend everyone that maybe doesn't hear. It's about 4 or 5 minutes. And the main thing is this guy talks about that, you know, being like a so what we call alien are like intradimensional being. And of course, and Bob knows about this, there is, you know, this kind of observation in the sky that this is what they record. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there is object out of focus and nothing more or whatever. But the guy behind this Santilli telescope and this kind of observation, they say like there are some kind of energy out there floating into the sky, and who knows what it is. Of course, you're going to find a lot of video debunking.
Of course.
And then debunkers of the debunkers of the debunkers, you know. So it's a complete mess.
Right.
It's a complete mess. But if you set up a telescope like this and you point into the sky, these things you are going to see. So, you know, I just leave there because, like I said before, it's very difficult, at least for me, you know, give a, you know, some kind of final opinion about what's going on in the sky, what is
it's
real.
very difficult. And in today's world too, with how much they can fake. You sent that video the other day of the moon. What do you think of that video?
Now, that video from the moon, I believe, is more some CGI than a real thing. I don't see like a real thing, and that is the problem in nowadays. I mean,
you can never anything. I mean, I could make that. You could make that.
Yeah, that's exactly.
You could take a video of the moon and then add some 3D software to it and add shadows and crafts, and I guess we can look at that tomorrow on the lounge if people want to see that. I don't need to bring it up now since you're...
Yeah, but it's, you know, for me, it's like Bill Cooper said. I mean, we live in the edge of deception. And if you know, for believing something, I really need, in our days, with our experience and knowing how they lie to us,
I need to see it right here.
Go, see it, go touch it, and split in half and see that the blood is not red.
No, I do too, because I see so many videos out there, and you know, oh, here's these birds dying of 5G. Okay, I've seen that. Here's these locusts taking over the earth. Okay, I've seen that. That might be in a square mile. I need to see more than just video at this point. That's what, you know, that's the age we live in.
Exactly. But you know, after all, well, I present this how you call in English when it's belong to the Bible, this verse, something like that. That it's, you know, it's a poetic interpretation that we have to live with some kind of a spiritual thing. It's not everything materialistic, you know, world that we live. That, at least my opinion, is what they use all these kind of ceremony, ritual, occultist lodges and you know, institutions that trying to, you know, in some way, because when they hypnotize you, when they make you believe false stories, all that kind of things, because it's just in your head.
Right.
It's not in reality.
That's what they're so good at, is they, you know, have learned to control the world with ideas.
Exactly. So that is why we present this slice to say the heliocentric model is math that your brain interpreted as this kind of picture if you are a good mathematician. But in our days, they convert this into final images.
Right.
So everything is in your head. And with the NASA Blue Beam
and you'll
project,
never see it. You'll never see it. It's not like, oh, eventually I'll get to see it. You just believe in the fairy tales that are presented as real.
Exactly. So the same thing happened with with the space, with the NASA Bluebeam project. They could use the technology, yes, of course. But before using that, they make the most, biggest thing with all this show of the space, and they put you that into your head. So you have been brainwashed with the idea of aliens right now.
And nobody can say that they haven't.
Nobody.
Nobody, yeah.
Nobody. So the final thing is that supposedly this is our, pale blue dot in the sky, in the space. And I have the official video, and they say that in the raw images, they don't see nothing. But one girl start to contrast and brightness and contrast and she found like this tiny white point,
right?
Not even blue, and they say, okay, this must be Earth.
And then they bring in their messiah, Carl Sagan, to tell us all about it.
Yes, exactly. And we talk about the Voyager and the crop cycles and that things. But the final touch is that no dot, no line, and without line there is no beam. And I translate this literally from Spanish because Spanish is no point and no dot, sin punto, no line. And here we call beam, we call line. So, maybe this translated is not accurate. But the thing is that if we don't have a spinning ball, we don't have any of this concept of the NASA Bluebeam project like they tell. So it must be all a deception,
No, it makes sense.
And that is the final part of the presentation.
All right. Well, hopefully people got to enjoy that. Witsit Gets It sent a super chat. He says, Eero, you're crushing, bro. So thank you, Austin.
Man. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's really up for people to make up their own minds on this one, but it is possible. Eero went through the 4 steps, and all 4 things are here, and we know that they can convince the world based on ideas. So whether or not they actually need to put objects in the sky at this point doesn't really seem to be needed. I mean, they've made people lock themselves in their houses and lose their jobs over a flu. So, they can do a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, it's an invisible enemy that bring the world together. All the governments, all the institutions supposedly are working behind it to solve, the problem of the virus, and they're gonna bring one world currency. They wanna bring one, after all, they're gonna bring one religion, because the first time that a Jesuit came to the church, to the Vatican, is this one. So they have everything in place. Could be super special production like Hollywood up in the sky. Maybe could be, but they don't need it. They tested right now with this corona thing, and they, at least I believe, they know that there is not even worth it to expend so much effort to convince and bring the new world order, because with the virus it's more easy.
Yeah, no, if it was a test, we failed miserably. If it was just a test to see, well, how far can we take it, they've realized they can go as far as they want with this. I mean, anything said on the news, it's so funny how quickly it turned, that one day in the news this week they announced that everybody should wear masks, and now if you go out in public and you don't have a mask, you're the one who gets looked at as crazy. And it happened overnight. Before that, I was looking at people like, look at these guys, they're crazy with masks, and then overnight, now they're looking at you like, how dare you? How dare you not listen to daddy government and the news media? Haven't you watched the news? Haven't you watched the liars read from the script yet? It's like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, completely agree. So, for me, everything is very, related in our days with all these ancient orders, and the same guys behind it, and everything is in place. Of course, depend on us to change it.
Right.
I am not. I don't like to be like how you said, I am not
advocating for
yeah.
upheaval.
Yeah, exactly. I am not surrender and say, okay, everything is done, so let it go, we lose. No, and absolutely, no. I am the ones who thinks that we can change things. Of course, the tools are already there for me, at least. We must be bring information, share information, trying to wake up the guy next to you. In terms of health, I really recommend, like always, the new shamanic medicine, the uses of alternative medicines, trying to grow your own food. I mean, don't wait to a messiah to came to save you. You have everything you need. You have it right there, So
yeah, absolutely.
Use
And
it.
stop being moved by fear in the way that they want you to. It's absolutely a tool. And like I said, I'll show some videos tomorrow of even doctors saying, oh, fear is a great use at controlling people, and this is why they're racking up the numbers of the corona. And you just have to realize, once they've taken it as far as they can, it's not like they can just go back to everything tomorrow. It would look like a total joke. So they have to kind of let this play out. They have to let it keep going. But yeah, stop being, stop having your rights removed. Stop having your life dictated to you, and do the important things. And like you said, share information. If you don't have a YouTube channel, make a YouTube channel. Share the information that you find and let people take it in and share it from there. And hopefully we can come out the other side better. But it's going to take everybody standing up for their rights, number one.
Yeah, and I like to play.
I can't stand up for everybody else's rights. I can stand up for mine, and you can stand up for yours, and George can stand up for George's, and Paul. And by doing that, we'll be fine. But if everyone just sits back and lets the media dictate their lives, we're in trouble.
Yeah, and remember that this is official article. A former Google founded a church based on artificial intelligence. Because I forget to show this, but I mean, that is the kind of things that maybe the Messiah is going to be. And if you use this analogy with all the Sophia robots that represent and supposedly is connected with the quantum computer. So how much left to present like a humanoid robot with the artificial intelligence inside? Give all the answer like you ask Google. I'm going to ask you this question, and it's the same thing, but as long you ask to a phone, the humans needs a character to make compatible feelings, emotions. You need another type of human in front of you. So what they need is just change the technology from a cell phone to a humanoid robot, and it's your god.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. And I'm reading the articles right now that we weren't joking earlier when we were talking about it. It says quantum computation is nothing less than a distinctly new way of harnessing nature. It will be the first technology that allows useful tasks to be performed in collaboration between parallel universes and then sharing the results. So, I mean, this is what quantum computation will be the first technology that allows useful tasks to be performed in collaboration between parallel universes. And again, I just showed, and I showed the other day, the new video by Veritasium where, parallel worlds most likely exist. Here's why. I mean, this is what science is selling now.
Yeah. Completely, man. Completely. So I like to finish, play again one more time the Bill Cooper short clip. So for me, it's, very storytelling. And with that, if you want to, we can close.
Okay.
So let me know if we are online. So I'm sharing the screen.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to play it.
But over the years, I've done a lot of research. What I've discovered is there's no proof existing anywhere that extraterrestrials are real, or that have ever visited this planet, or that they exist anywhere in the universe. There is not one shred of evidence anywhere. There is lots of evidence, tons of it in fact, that there are a group of people collectively known as the Illuminati who want us to believe in some extraterrestrial threat from space so that they can cause a world government bringing together of all the people to resist that external threat. And the first time that I saw any reference to that, I was reading some papers from the Carnegie Endowment Fund, and there was a record of a speech. It was a dinner for Viscount Ishii of the Japanese delegation, the Japanese imperial delegation, in 1917. And John Dewey was one of the speakers. And the first sentence out of his mouth, as I was reading this, I almost fell out of my chair, because this was in 1917. And he said, the best way to cause all the people of the world to come together in one world government and end war forever would be if we were attacked by some other species from some other planet. And boy, that just clicked with me, and I knew that that this is just another scam. This is the age of deception. There's no doubt about it. And then 8 times during Reagan's administration, he inserted almost the exact same phrase into 8 of his speeches. And it's a scam. That's what I can tell you. What they call UFOs, these craft that fly around in the sky, are real. But they're not piloted by some little green guy from some other planet.
So with that, I think it's very clear. At least I share completely that opinion.
Yeah, as do I. I certainly have not seen any evidence of it myself. So, I can't say, like I said, until I see it. Show it me, as somebody would say. By the way, I know coming up, and thank you, Eero, very much. Is there any other slides you need to show, or is that it?
Well, no, because I have a lot of slides, but like I mentioned before, maybe we can do, when you are available, a special show with the new things that I research about all the Hollywood-based fakery of the moon and space. And maybe this last chapter is going to be nice if we leave here in 1 hour and a half, something like that, and don't...
Yeah. I like that, and then we can do another show about all the other things. I want to see that, and I know we've done bits and pieces of it before, but it would be nice to bring it all together with some of the stuff I have as well.
And I never give the complete presentation of the electrical universe, so that maybe could be the next type of presentation that we can give.
Okay, I love it. That's great. All right, and for people looking for something else to watch, I know, well, actually I don't know if it's going to be live. I think Dave Weiss is going to be on Tinfoil Hat in about an hour, but I don't know if that's live. I think it's live for people on Patreon, but it might be a couple days till it's loaded. But anyway, keep an eye out for Tinfoil Hat. Dave Weiss will be on it. And we have the lounge tomorrow. Eeru's going to be here. You said Eeru, yeah? We'll get to see it?
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll talk a little bit more about the hot topic of the times, of course, and I'm sure Rodrigo will be here and many others, maybe Bob, maybe Karen, we'll see, possibly Austin. So it'd be great to have a show tomorrow where we can talk about that. So appreciate you guys tuning in for this. Thank you for the super chats. Let me make sure there wasn't any more. Oh, there was more. Thank you. Icy Tube said, thanks guys, that was a great series. Exactly. They love the hero exactly. And Commercial Sound and Video says, how is there no cure for a virus you can wash off with soap or Lysol? Seen on an FE meme. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane what's going on around us. And the best advice I can give is just stay positive and live your life and don't let them dictate to you. That's how I'm living, so it's not weighing on me. You could totally let this destroy you if you let it. But just trying to stay positive, and I think sickness comes from fear, and sickness comes from that doubt. And you were talking about it. You were with the whole Germanic medicine, saying that the problem with the breathing and problems in your lungs comes directly from fear.
Yeah, exactly. The fear to death goes directly to your lungs. Yeah. And by the way, I'm really happy because the guy that I shared the email, remember when we talked in the last Friday lunch, talking about the therapy with the mineral solution of the that, well, he's still alive and he has still, the lungs are complete clear.
Good.
He wrote me yesterday to confirm, the treatment. So I'm very happy he is still alive, no poison.
Good. Awesome to hear. All right. Well, I think that's it. So that's part 4 of the NASA Bluebeam project. Hopefully everyone enjoyed that. Thank you, Iru, for presenting that. And hopefully everybody tunes in tomorrow for Lounge. And then we've got Glowbusters. Actually, I'm not sure we're doing Glowbusters because it's Easter. I'll have to check with Bob on that. I don't know. So thank you to all my patrons who make this all possible. Patreon.com/jeranism. While you're there, make sure you sign up for Iru. Patreon.com/Nur para Todos. And even if you give Iru $5 goes a long way down there in Argentina.
Yes, completely. And let me just give the thanks because I have a few patrons that came from Europe, other ones came from United States. You, Bob, Rodrigo are also patron for me, so thank you so much. And of course, I have also Spanish people. But let me just say thank you so much, anyone, because yesterday, for example, when they closed my channel, a few patrons, they changed their pledge to give me a little more, and well, I recover my YouTube channel. So if they want to give back what they add to the pledge,
right,
is the name,
pledge.
Pledge. I can give it back, but I really like the
it's
just say thank
support.
for
It's great
for the
support.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So,
And Iru and I are both unique in that position, and we both are able to do this because of the people that support us. So
yes,
it's very important to us, and we always, when we see each other, talk about how lucky we are to get to do this, and thank everybody for helping us do that. If you want to send me something in the mail, you can do so. Jeranism, P.O. Box 3044, Merced, California, 95344. Quick, before they shut down the postal service. That could be next. I don't know. And let's see. Any final words before we go here, or is that about it?
No. Well, I'm gonna start translating for my YouTube channel. I make a series, film on video, with a guy here from Argentina. I have in my Spanish. I don't know if I'm still presenting or sharing my screen, but
sure you can.
I'm gonna be translating this type of series that I made with let me just go in here. That I made with a guy here in Argentina. It's a one-on-one flat Earth in 10 videos, but it's really well organized. Very nice introduction to the flat Earth.
Awesome.
And
that you're gonna translate to English.
Yeah, I'm gonna start translating to English because nice. I have a guy who, this is Rodrigo Ferrari Nunes, know him. He is a sociologist, also participate in this series, and we have 10 chapters.
He looks a little like you, a little bit.
Yeah, someone said that maybe he's my brother, but not. He's not my brother.
He stole your beard. He stole your beard. I don't know.
Yeah, we are practice eugenics, but no, but I have a guy here in Argentina who helped me to translate videos from Spanish. For example, he translate me all these 30 minutes videos that a doctor, official doctor talks with official institute and blah blah blah. So he's gonna to help me to translate that series. So I hope people like it. But when I am 100% on this now. That is my daily basis. I trying to create much content as I can, and trying to apply my profession, my motion graphics as motion graphic designer and video producer to this kind of thing. So this is my first so-called documentary or series in this kind of format. So I hope I can do much more.
All right, awesome. We really appreciate the work that you've done so far, and I love everything that you put out that's in English. I'm not a big fan of the Spanish stuff, but that's because I don't speak Spanish.
Okay.
I think your Spanish stuff sucks. No, I'm just kidding. I
know that.
Can't follow along. No, but I do love anything that you put out in English, and so I hope you keep doing great work that you've been doing in the Spanish community for sure. And I'm looking forward to doing another presentation with you with the electrical universe. That'll be fun. And then NASA Fakery will kind of do a combined one, which should be fun as well. So people have that to look forward to.
Great. And thank you, everyone, for the support on the chat and for understand my English.
It's perfect. It's perfect English. All right, guys, it's been fun. I remind you to do your own research, because when you do, you'll never again believe what you've been taught. Please stay sane, stay healthy, and turn off the damn news. Till next time, this has been Jeranism. Peace.
Peace.